Okay guys, this is my first ever screencast, and I'm going to try and talk you through almost the entire day's lesson all on this screencast. So if you want to keep up, you're going to have to really pay attention and make sure you try and stay with me. The first place where we're going to start is with our spiral review, which you should have received a spiral review from the sub today. So notice this is our one from the beginning of January, and then this should be our one from today. If you've been along with this spiral review and you've been able to stay with the information that's provided, you should know how to change these things to function form in case you wanted to graph them. You don't have to graph every single situation though. Okay? So let's look at this first problem. It says, given the following equation, identify a solution. So here's one thing we need to do. Identify a solution. We are finding a solution to this equation, then afterwards we need to explain how we know it's a solution. Okay? So I need to find for something that equals 15 with this given situation. Before, we have always used an XY table. Okay? You don't have to use an XY table because you're only finding one solution. An easy solution to this would be to let either one of these equal 0. And the reason that is easy is because if x is 0, then we substitute 0 in for x and we can solve for y very simply. Let's go ahead and do that and see what y turns out to be. I have 6 happening first. I'm going to multiply that times my 0 that I'll substitute. And I'll change that to red so it makes the substitution more clear. Then I have to add with that 3y to equal 15. And at this point we're ready to solve the whole situation. You should know by now that 6 times 0 is 0. Now that that is gone, we're left with 3y equals 15. Some of you may realize what y is, but just to prove that, let's go ahead and solve this by dividing 3. Why are we dividing 3, you might ask? Because 3 is being multiplied with my variable. So if I divide 3 on the other side, I'm left with y to equal 15 divided by 3, which is 5. Now if y is 5, that is only true when x is 0. So if I substituted 0 in for x and 5 in for y, this situation would turn out to be true. And that is the type of explanation you need to have. In fact, let me go ahead and what I'll do is I'll undo that and I'll explain that using the blue pen. So this is what you should write on your spiral review. I have this point 0, 5, x valued at 0, y valued at 5. If I show this substitution, 6 times 0 plus 3 times 5 equals 15. 6 times 0 is 0, plus 3 times 5 is 15 to equal 15. 0 plus 15 is 15, and that equals 15, and that is my explanation for how I know it's a solution. I substitute each value and solve. If true, which 15 is 15, then I know I am correct. And that's what we're looking at for an explanation here. Okay? This situation up top is not much different than this situation down below. In fact, the only difference really is that this one has a lot more options. The reason it has a lot more options is because there's an inequality sign. So let's make this easy again, and let's allow x to be 0. If x is 0, then this substituted would just equal 0, meaning that cancels. So if x is 0, y then must be any number less than -6. Because I am identifying a specific solution, that means one answer, I have to let y be anything less than negative 6. I will choose negative 7. On yours, you can choose whatever you want as long as it is less than negative 6. To explain this, I'll use the color blue again. It's going to be this same situation right up here, but let's prove it. Okay, negative 2 times 0 plus negative 7 to be less than negative 6. Negative 2 times 0 is 0, plus negative 7 is less than negative 6. And when I combine those two, I have negative 7 is less than negative 6. And I would rather have the bigger amount, negative $6, in my wallet rather than negative $7. So that is how I could tell that that is true. Okay? Hopefully when you did this, you had a student check your answer, and hopefully they were smart enough to be able to know how to do that. Okay? That's your spiral review today. While we transition over to notes, you guys should take about 2 to 3 minutes, no more than that, and we'll have another screencast ready for you to go through your notes. As long as you get through the notes okay, I'll leave the plan for the sub to go ahead and give you the screencast on a couple of problems from your homework. So hopefully you can be good through the notes and you can be ready in 2 to 3 minutes. Thanks.